You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Hey there, Sprouts. Today is Wednesday, December 30th, 2020. This week on the Catholic Sprouts podcast, we are talking about the family and how the family is so important. It is the little church, but also how we need to be in our families discerning and accepting the specific mission that God has given us, that we weren't placed in our families to just stay there forever and never do anything different from each other, but that God has a unique plan for all of us. And it is our job while in our family to discern that and accept it. Yesterday, we looked at the dramatic story of Abraham and Isaac and how God asking Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac is a reminder that we belong to God. We have been entrusted to our parents, but we belong to Him. Now, today, we're going to look at another very famous character from the Old Testament, and that character is Moses. Now, let's think back to the very beginning of Moses' life. When we're talking about family, Moses probably doesn't come right to the top of your mind because Moses was taken from his family, or he was sent from his family when he was very, very young. If you remember the story, Moses' parents were slaves in Egypt. The entire nation of Israel was enslaved there. And because of some prophecies from the Egyptians, because they were worried that the nation of Israel was getting too big and too strong, the Pharaoh decided to kill all of the newborn sons that had been born right around the time of Moses. So to protect her son's life, she took her new baby son, who was Moses. She made a little basket out of reeds. She wrapped him in a blanket and she put him on the river. And she asked Moses' older sister to watch and see what happened to this basket as it floated away. Clearly, the hand of God was involved here because the basket that Moses was in floated right up to some of the women from the royal household of Pharaoh who were down by the river. And in fact, Pharaoh's own sister, who couldn't have her own children, found the basket and adopted Moses as a son. Therefore, Moses, before he was even aware of anything, because he was still a baby, taken from his real family and grew up thinking that he was an Egyptian. Of course, as the story goes, we know that eventually he discovered that he was in fact an Israelite. He was banished, and God spoke to him on the top of a mountain. He returned to Egypt through the power of God, through the plagues sent upon Egypt, through God's hand on the Red Sea when He parted the water. Moses was used as an instrument of God to lead the entire Israelite nation out of slavery and eventually into the Promised Land. So Moses is a very important character, but what can we learn from him about family? Well, again, we see this, that God has a specific purpose for each of us, that we belong to God, that sometimes this path can be hard. Moses' life was in danger as a child. We also see that God can use all things for His glory. Even this evil from the Pharaoh of Egypt that he would kill children. But God was able to use that to form Moses into a man that could truly free this nation of Israel, someone who grew up with the Egyptians, who knew how they worked. Moses. Now, we also see that no matter what happens to us, no matter what God might call us to do or what crazy adventure we might go on as a follower of Jesus Christ, that we are always a member of our family, that there is a bond there that can never be broken. Now, look at this. Moses, when he was a baby, before he knew anything, was taken out of his family. He grew up thinking he was part of a different family. But those bonds, he was still an Israelite. He was still the son of his mother and father. That never changed. That is how important family is. The family is who we are. It's how God forms us for the work that we have to do. And so, Sprouts, value the people that God has put into your family. These people are here to help you reach holiness. It is that simple. These people were put here to challenge you to be better, to show you how to be better, to hold you accountable to be better, and to be better with you. The family will always be a part of who you are and how you are constantly accepting your mission from God, even when you're older, even when perhaps you don't live with this family anymore, but you have moved out and started your own family or accepted the call to be a sister or a priest. Your family will always be there challenging you and needing you to challenge them. So let's remember this incredible story of Moses. God uses all things for his glory, and there is nothing that can end our connection with our family, not ever. So Sprouts, once again, your challenge today is to do a Bible hunt. This time we are in the book of Exodus, where you will find the birth story of Moses in chapter 2. So find your Bibles. Find the book of Exodus, chapter 2. That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be. Just one more thing. I hope that you and your families are enjoying a continued celebration of Christmas. Also, our new app, the Domestic Church Project app, will be live and enrolling new families starting on January 1st. And the doors will only be open until January 6th. So if your family is desiring more formation and more community, I encourage you to come on over and check it out. You can find the direct link in the notes for this podcast episode.